Okay, back again in Torrance, California. Joe Berardi upsetting his roommate Mark Roth 212 to 182. Had a total of 5 strikes, and now he'll go against a tremendous champion named Pete Weber from Florissant, Missouri. The Ask Bo feature. Well, Bo, we have a question today. I'm an amateur bowler who likes bowling in tournaments. My question is, why are pro bowlers, active and inactive, allowed to bowl in amateur tournaments without losing their pro status? That's the question.
Today's Ask Bo question comes from E. Miller, and it goes like this. Dear Bo, I'm an amateur bowler who likes bowling in local tournaments. Why are professional bowlers, both active and inactive, allowed to bowl in amateur tournaments without losing their pro status? The answer is this. Professional bowlers are also sanctioned by the American Bowling Congress, the same ruling body as the amateurs have. So unless a tournament bans a pro with a specific rule, he's allowed to compete. Thank you for your question, and here's how you can write Ask Bo. It's Post Office Box 217, Ansonia Station, New York, New York, 10023.
Okay, send your questions. Ask Bo. Well, there's no question in anybody's mind that the man in the blue striped shirt is a wonderful young champion named Pete Weber. 25, he's won 10 titles.
And our tournament leader, Walter Ray Williams Jr., has a couple warm-up shots, and so he's allowed to have a few shots. And Chris, while they're warming up there, I'd like to pass on my sympathies to a good friend of mine, professional bowler and race car driver, Tim Albin, who was involved in a racing accident last week, and the best of the pros go out to him as he's recovering. And I know that you've had a long, strenuous week yourself.
Well, yes, losing a great friend and brother-in-law.
Our sympathies go out to your family and wish Tim Albin the speedy recovery. Now, what these pros get, Chris, is in between the matches, the tournament leader, Walter Ray Williams, can come over and practice as much as he wants. Pete Weber, who is the challenger, I guess, even though he's the higher finisher in this tournament, has 6 practice balls. At this time, he must tell tournament coordinator and television coordinator Frank Esposito which lane he decides to start on once he finishes his last shadow ball, and then the match will begin between Berardi and Weber.
And it's a battle between the smaller guys, though, which always makes me feel good, because Pete Weber, who's practicing, is 5 feet 7 inches tall, weighs 130, Berardi 5'9", 140. So that's the beauty of bowling. Whether it's amateur status or professional, all sizes can do it and have a good time. In the case of these pros, make a lot of money. Over his career, Pete Weber, and so young, has over $750,000 won with his bowling ball and here on television. And Berardi, $609,000. Of course, coming up will be our tip of the week, and it's always so helpful when Bo does it. And this week, it's going to be at how to convert headpin down spares.
See Pete Weber's continuing to warm up, and once again, I think that's his last practice shot, Chris. We're ready to go in the semifinal match. 2 of the top players in the country, Pete Weber and Joe Berardi.
And if you just joined us, Mark Roth beat Jim Pensack of Ohio 207 to 170. Then this man, Berardi, defeated Roth. Joe shooting a 212. First shot, semifinal match. Again a 10.
The solid 10 is Joe Berardi grabs his breath. He's very, very tough when he gets one match under his belt, and so Pete Weber will have his hands full. And Joe wanted me to mention that he gives credit to a fellow named Joe Manfredi, who convinced him not to retire this year and stay out a few more years, and I'm sure that Berardi has a lot of good years left in him.
Their shot was clocked at 23 miles an hour. Here we get our first look today. Under the stress and tension of competition, Pete Weber, right lane.
once again, a solid 10. And as we did not expect a lot of spares to shoot at today, and low scoring, and once again, match play competition. The players have to adjust, a lot of cash at stake.
And the youngest ever to win 10 titles, Pete Weber marks to the spare in the very first round. He is the defending Firestone champion, coming from 5th to 1st.
The classic profile of Pete Weber, the very high backswing, almost perpendicular to the approach zone. This is where that ectomorphic body of his drive gets all that momentum, so let that wrist snap throw and through and throw one of the great strike balls in the game.
Oh, how do you spell that?
I know you know, but it's ECTOMORPHIC. Boom.
That's Professor Bo right here. And Pete Weber leaving a 4-pin on the left lane. A reminder, the winner will meet Walter Ray Williams, Jr. This will be hard-earned, the victory today, Nelson.
That's for sure. Match game competition.
Okay, 2 spares for Weber. Berardi has one up. Now shooting in the second frame, and our statistician, Palmer Falgren, who had a great shot, got robbed last night in the finals, finished 8th. Next week, Palmer. A 6.
Mark Roth just stopped by the booth. I says, Mark, what's happening out there in 13 and 14? He says, before we went on the air, 13 hooked a lot and 14 was slick. What has happened in the last 45 minutes is lane 14 has started to hook, and 13 hasn't. So actually, both lanes are pretty much the same now. It's up to the players to adjust.
Okay, match all even after 2 frames. The semifinal, Berardi and Weber.
Joe Berardi, who won a regional term at the age of 18. The PBA has 7 regions that lets the younger player break in and get some experience before he tries the big tour. Also did some early exhibitions. I had the good fortune of having him go with me to a number of exhibitions at a young age, and you could foresee the talent that was going to come out here in the tour. Now, Berardi even, 3rd frame.
Talking to himself. These are young men you'd love to have as next-door neighbors, believe me. They are just delightful people. And that's why I've enjoyed being around them for 27 years.
Pete Weber, fingertip grip, stretched out span, balances that ball in the palm of his hand, cocks that wrist to the top of the swing. Needs a strike to stay even in a match.
Start of the house, huh?
You're right. Solid 8. The ball just drives right through this zone. And watch this 5-pin chop at the 8-pin right off the 8-pin. Unusual shot as Pete's quickly up on the approach.
Pete Weber, a symphony in blue and green. Great combination. We asked him earlier about his 300-game record.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, I do have 27 300 sanctioned by the ABC, and if this week was sanctioned, I'll have 28, so I think I'll be just 1 down on him. And watch out, Elvin, I'm coming after you.
Pete Weber, who had a 300 during the week, as did Walter Ray Williams and Mark Williams.
Elvin Metzger is the man that holds the record, a good bowling teammate of mine from the St. Louis area.
High hitting again, a 3-6-10. We have seen that leave so often today.
Well, you can tell by their faces, Chris, that the professional bowlers, if they know where to roll that ball and at what speed to roll it, they'll throw it in the pocket. Weber figured he could give it some room, throw it a little harder, and it would sit out there wide. It didn't. Once again, he cuts high and has a tough spare.
Okay, we're in our semi-final match, and a very close one with Berardi leading by 4. We'll be back.